Hi, this is Paul Fenn for another edition of Jeanneau Underway. And today I'm in Jersey City with Justin and Naomi Sonfield aboard their 41 deck salon, Robin 5. In 2014, Justin Sonfield found himself growing increasingly antsy to purchase a family boat and introduce his wife and a young family to the world of sailing.
Since this was going to be Naomi's first time, I wanted to start her off really lightly and very simple. Yeah. So we started shopping, for a nice old used boat, about a 30-foot, but my desire was to recreate that experience I had in my youth. So it needed to be a 31-foot, it had to have air conditioning because I wanted her to be comfortable. I wanted to be able to have the family on it, but not spend a lot of money in case she didn't like it and we'd have to sell it. So we started there and started looking, and at that same time, a couple of exciting new boats had hit the market. The 379, and then there was a Jeanneau that we were also looking at. So I contacted the Jeanneau dealership down in Riverside, New Jersey, and we arranged to go see a 379. And we got there, and they had beautifully set up a 379, a 409, and then this 41DS. So we go and walk on the 379, and honestly, at that point, we had decided that we were going to go with the Jeanneau versus going with the Jeanneau. Then Rebecca, the lovely salesperson down there, said, "We'd love to walk you on the 409." And we walked on the 409. And we're like, great, a little outside of our first budget, but great. She said, "I gotta show you this other boat." And it was a 41DS. It was actually a model year old. So we walked on board, and I look at Naomi, and she looks at me, and I'm like, I've gotta have this boat. And this is the boat for us. It's got all the room we could ever need, and it's not too big, but it feels much more like a 50-plus foot boat based on how the cabins are all laid out.
You liked how the galley was sitting. You said that
love the galley. Yes, the traditional L-shaped galley as opposed to linear galley. Having the separate shower abilities, it really spoke to every one of our needs. It was out of our price range. It was out of what I thought would be comfortable for Naomi in her first boat. But she looked at me and said, basically, I know you and I know how you are. So if we don't go for what we want right the first time, we'll be sitting here in a year and you'll be trying to look at something else. And basically what we found with this boat was a boat that we think we could live on for a lifetime. Yeah. It's got everything we need and nothing we don't.
For Justin, purchasing the 41DS was a dream come true and immediately brought him back to his childhood and sailing with his dad on Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans.
My dad was one of those larger-than-life characters, and he ran a department store and then a furniture store business in New Orleans. He was a New Orleans native, was born of parents in the Depression in New Orleans, and worked his way up and always had this love for the water. Joined the Navy after graduating from school, and went over all around the world, and then came back to New Orleans to start his life. And Robins 1 and 2 must have come around at that point in time, and then once he became successful, bought Robins 3. So Dad always had toys. Always was a big toy guy, and he had a plane. He had a number of cars that were really nice, and then he bought this boat. And we were turning 10 at the time, and my little sister had just been born. My brother and I were 10 and 11, and we all started learning how to sail. Dad's mantra was that he never wanted the family apart. He was one of those fathers that was home at 6 o'clock every day, even though he was an entrepreneur who was running his own business. He made sure that no matter what, he never missed dinner. So the boat was kind of the family rallying place, and it's where we spent all of our weekends. So when people have memories of the early 80s and watching Magnum PI and Dallas and Dynasty, we did that on our boat. And we never really took it far. He was a little almost agoraphobic about going too far, but we would sail it every summer from New Orleans to Biloxi, Mississippi, and stay at this old marina called the Broadwater Beach Marina, and use that as kind of a back and forth place in the summer times. But there was never any times like we had when we were a family on a boat.
So while Justin grew up with sailboats, Naomi's story's a little different.
I've been on boats before, but I was born in Hawaii, but I grew up in Missouri. So really, we only had access to lakes there. So it was more like, pontoon boats, like speed boats. So sailing was totally different. It's a much more slower pace, but it's also more relaxing and it's more quiet. You really get to enjoy the scenery. You're not speeding past it. You know, you get to enjoy everything, all the beautiful scenery and just family time, and it's just great. It's a lot to learn, and I'm still working on that. But I'm excited to try and learn, for the future. And once the kids
all
are
of
grown,
our future plans of where to go.
We'll take trips a little bit farther, hopefully.
Tune in to Justin's Facebook page on any given weekend during the summer, and you're sure to see not just the Sonfield family out sailing, but a whole pile of their friends who have come along for the ride.
We've become kind of the social chairs of the neighborhood. We do a number of parties a year, a Christmas party, a Halloween party, and now a white party on the boat to close out the season. But we really did this to have fun on the boat and to have an experience and to give an experience to all of our friends.
When it comes to great sailing arenas, iconic places like Newport, Larchmont, and Annapolis easily come to mind. But Justin and Naomi chose to keep their boat, Robin 5, in New York Harbor. It's close to their house, and they have come to find that having a boat in downtown New York has a lot to offer.
So, both of us not being from New York, it's been, first of all, it took us 5 years to figure out that we were even on the water, even though we cross it every day. That this was even going to be an option. And then, the first thing that we thought about is, it's New York, everything's really expensive. So would it be too expensive to have this lifestyle up here? And so we started looking into it and really found that in this city of millions and millions of people, there are very few boaters, relatively speaking. And, it's funny that New Yorkers continue to look for this exclusive experience in life. And it's right here. Every night when you're going down the Hudson River, it's once the ferries die down and you've got some of the nighttime cruises and whatnot, but you're all alone and it is dead quiet sailing up or down the river. It's an amazing experience, and being able to go past the Statue of Liberty, we call that the tourist cruise a little bit, because every time we bring somebody new on the boat, we swing down to the Statue of Liberty first and let everybody take a picture.
And to be so close,
and
it's just
everything about it that is really makes boating up here a very unique experience.
And while Justin and Naomi love hanging out in local waters with their friends and family, they also love spreading their wings a bit and have come to really enjoy what has become an annual trip down the coast to Delaware, but not always without a few mishaps along the way.
Our Delaware trip that we take annually is one of my most favorite trips. And I don't think he knew that, because I said, I'm so excited to go to Delaware this year. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, I really like it. He's like, we're on the boat the entire time. And I said, yeah, I know. It's great. It's a great town. It offers like the best of both worlds. You have the beach, and then there's, a farm community, and we just really, it's so close to Rehoboth. So, you have that boardwalk aspect. And it's really just great. Our sail down there, you could make it in a day, but we make it 2 days, so we break it up. We spend the night in Atlantic City, so we get to experience that. And it's great quality family time.
Why don't you tell them about the most terrifying sailing that we had?
So it was just him and I, and Jack was not even one yet. Not even one yet. So the marina in Lewis is on a very tight, narrow river, and there's a bridge right there. So when the current goes, it really is going.
About 4 knots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we, we had tried to time it, but again, it was our first trip, so we didn't have the knowledge beforehand going in, and we docked and
the line went in the water.
The line went on the water, wrapped around the prop, stalled the engine.
And Naomi's on the boat with Jack and then
I was on the dock first. He was on the boat. I jumped off to put on the line. and the current started taking the boat. So then we switched somehow. I don't know how we switched.
We had
so
a stern
fast.
line on, and luckily we were the only person on a long dock, and the boat just pivoted around. But it was the scariest, probably 60 seconds of our boating lives, and it was Naomi's first major trip on a boat.
Yeah.
Someday, Justin and Naomi see themselves sailing off on a world adventure. But for now, with 3 young kids in tow, their goal is to create great memories for their family, with the hope that once grown, their kids will sail their own boats and continue the tradition that Justin's dad started way back when, sailing on Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans.
I think for Jack, it's funny because Justin is so similar to his father, and I see that in Jack. Not only do the 3 of them all look very similar, but they all have very similar personalities, and everything that he's young and impressionable, but everything that we've introduced him to, he has a passion for as well. And I think that someday, I could see him doing that. He's definitely going to come visit us when we're traveling.
Definitely.
Fingers crossed we're traveling.
By the time we were 14, my dad was ready to retire and move us to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. An absolute beautiful place, and obviously an island surrounded by water. And we didn't have any interest in sailing at the time. And the family didn't have those weekends on the boat, and Dad decided to sell the boat. So all of a sudden we moved to Hilton Head, and we've sold the boat. And as 14-year-olds, they're interested in everything else. And so I worried that the girls would lose interest and that they would kind of venture away from it. And then I guess kept telling myself that it'll be just like me.
Yeah.
They'll come back and wish they had it if it was gone. But it's our desire to keep it going.
Yeah. And they'll be thankful for the experience as adults. Because you take for granted all the impressions that you're making on your kids until they become their own real person, where they're out in the world doing things on their own, and they make a decision, and you're like, oh wow, that's really great. I had a part to do with that, and it's great to see that come full circle, and I think your dad would be really excited.
He'd be really excited about all of this.
Well, I certainly had a great time hanging out with Justin and Naomi. This is Paul Fenn for the Jeanneau channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing you right here next time on Jeanneau Underway.